Hello, welcome. Today we're taking a look at the Quad Stack AC Unity 45 round 5.56 AK magazine. Now, it's true, I've been asking the universe in the market for a 45 round, cheap, readily available 5.56 AK magazine for quite some time, and apparently I was just not specific enough because the universe provided a Quad Stack, which is not really what I wanted. The quick and dirty is it's AC Unity. The top end is the exact same as their other magazines, so if AC Unity regular magazines fit in your particular rifle, then I would presume that the Quad Stack would as well. It also feels like it's made out of the exact same plastic with no additional reinforcing. Even the metal reinforcing that it does have on the front and rear is the exact same style of that like weird alloy that they use. It's not actually steel. In sum, it has a lot of the downsides that drums and quad stacks do, and that it's kind of difficult to load, and it takes up more room in load-bearing equipment than it actually offers in capacity. But otherwise, it's cheap, it's readily available, and if you have had good success with AC Unity magazines in the past, then it also will probably fit your particular rifle. All I really want is for AC Unity to take their RPK-74 magazine and make this in 5.56. That seems like it would be relatively straightforward instead of making this whole thing, but alas, here we are. In an even more perfect world, Circle 10 would also do the same with their AK-74 magazine, but apparently that's a pipe dream as well. Just like the regular AC Unity magazines, it did fit a lot better in my M90. It fits and comes out pretty easily, and in that one, it worked well. No functional issues, but it's just a matter of inherently I don't love quad stacks because they add complexity to what should otherwise be a simple system. It also fit and worked well in my Beryl, although it is a much tighter fit, much similar to other AC Unity magazines. So it definitely has some squish and some, you can tell it's compressing some polymer, and then it sort of locks in place. Locking the magazine feels way too similar to shooting a Glock trigger. So that sort of squishy plastic that you probably are familiar with, same vibe. It fits, it works, but you're definitely not doing any speed reloads with this. You kind of have to pull it out with some vigor and some force. So again, if you have a Beryl and you have had good experience with AC Unity magazines in the past, then sure, knock yourself out. But if you have not had good experience with AC Unity magazines in the past with your Beryl, then I would not encourage you to bother pursuing these. These come in 45 as well as 60 round versions, and while the quad stack is not a unheard of concept, especially for AKs, the Russians have been doing something with that for quite some time, and they have several different versions, especially for 5.45. So it's not unheard of, it's not unprecedented, but I think there's a reason it never saw true mass adoption. The other downside with it being a quad stack is that it has a pretty heavy mainspring in the very bottom, and so especially once you get this thing just about full, it becomes not impossible, but certainly way more difficult than normal to load, and rounds really have to be shoved in there in order to get them to seat. Again, not abnormal for things like quad stacks, but drums and quad stacks kind of both share a lot of the same downsides. This, I think, doesn't quite have as many downsides as a drum because it would actually fit into a 2-cell magazine pouch in an Israeli pouch. These two fit well, and the pouch works fine for them. You go from 60 rounds to 45 rounds with a little bit of room to spare, but it basically fits the same way and would fit the pouch fine. But again, you're down to 45 from 60. One thing about these USGI double mag pouches is that, especially polymer 5.56 AK magazines are thicker than AR-15 mags, and so you can't actually get two of these in here. You can get one fine, but two, it just really doesn't work. The elastic really doesn't stretch well, and it catches on these hooks. But ironically enough, the quad stack does fit this one better, and because the hook is on the thinner part, it actually helps alleviate the catching a little bit, and so you can actually get that in there, which is interesting. And then it comes out pretty easy. Then obviously a single pouch works fine for one magazine. Obviously it wouldn't work for two, but it has no hope of working for a quad stack. There's just no room and no way to get this thing in there. That's some of the implications of this fat body. The only thing I noticed after firing this one is that the bolt actually chipped the back of the follower where the carrier rides over the follower after the last round has been fired. It doesn't seem to be getting worse, but it is definitely a point where it is impacting, which is not abnormal for AK magazines. But because it's a plastic follower, it did have a noticeable impact, which I hadn't noticed on other magazines, and I thought it was a little strange. But it seems to be stabilizing and not getting worse. It's kind of a sad state of affairs that for some reason we just can't seem to get a 45 round double stack plain, 5.56 AK magazine that is new production, that is actually available. There's a big hole in the market of like solid RPK 5.56 magazines that it's just not there. There are some, there's the 50 round Galil magazines, which that's its own whole thing. And then there are some, I think 40 round 84S magazines that are floating in the ether, as well as like the knockoff counterfeit from Pakistan. Like those are around. Got one of those and I did a previous video on it. But again, it's not a great solution because you have to modify it and fit it, and it's not just readily available. I wish that the Molot magazines didn't cost as much as they do, but good God, those are expensive. So I will not be acquiring one of those anytime soon, as far as I'm concerned. I need a good clone of those magazines. That's what I need. That's what I want. But today's not the day for that. Regardless, I think the mag is interesting. Sure, it's fun. If I ever have some sort of an RPK setup, then it'd be cool to throw in and have some fun with. But they're fine range mags. I wouldn't count on them for much else. If you want to just bump fire into trash, then it's great for that. But if this is your Braid Contact magazine, then you should probably reconsider your life choices. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this was informative or of some value to you, and I'll see you next time. I'm just saying, this is so much cooler. That's all I'm saying. It's just so much cooler. It also did fit and work in my Beryl, Beryllium.